Donald Trump has repeatedly railed against early voting, yet he did so today in Florida for the primary that is coming up. He then did this interview where he had a level of sadness in his voice, and I am glad. I am happy that his campaign is in a state of disarray because he is a fundamental threat to our democracy, and I will prove that to you guys multiple times throughout this video. First, watch this clip of Donald Trump immediately after he casted his ballot, and he gets asked about his claims regarding VP Harris's AI crowds. Take a look at this video.
And you said Harris's crowd sizes were AI and that there weren't people there. There's all kinds of video evidence and people who were there who have proven that false. Can you tell us about why you made that claim?
Well, I can't say what was there, who was there. I can only tell you about ours. We have the biggest crowds ever in the history of politics. We have crowds that nobody's ever seen before, and we continue to have that. We have a level of enthusiasm that nobody's seen before. They want to make America great again. That's what's happening. We're going to make it great again. Right now, we have a failing nation. We're in a failing nation and become in many ways a third world nation. And we're not going to let that happen. Thank you very much.
For somebody who claims to love this country so much, Donald Trump sure does spend a lot of time talking about how we are a failed nation or a third world country. Also, Donald Trump's obsession with crowd sizes, not only his own, but his opponent's crowd sizes, is indicative of a level of narcissism that we have never seen before. Genuinely, this man spends more time talking about crowd sizes than policies, and when VP Harris is beating him in crowd sizes, he makes up schizophrenic conspiracy theories about these crowds being photoshopped or AI generated. There's not a reflection. He has turned into a QAnon conspiracy theorist uncle who has a direct line into millions of other QAnon conspiracy theorist uncles. That is why he is so dangerous. He is a fundamental threat because every time he loses an election, he undermines the mail-in ballots. He undermines the mail men, the mail women. He undermines our elected officials. He loses a court case. He undermines the judge, the jury, the judge's daughter. This article says, former President Trump on Wednesday cast his ballot in the Florida primary as part of the early voting window, even as he has pushed for one-day voting as a part of his re-election bid and cast doubt on the reliability of early voting. To add on top of that, Trump has voted by mail multiple times despite months of voter fraud claims. To go back to what he did today, Donald Trump delivered a brief remark to cameras as he cast his ballot in Palm Beach. Quote, "We have a level of enthusiasm that no one's seen before." We just watched that clip. "The Florida primary elections for state and federal elections will take place on August 20th, and the early voting period lasts from August 10th to August 17th. If you guys live in Florida, make sure you go vote blue in your primaries." This article reads, despite spending months after the 2020 presidential election attacking the safety of mail-in voting, former President Donald Trump once again relied on the voting method to cast his ballot in a Florida municipal election held on Tuesday. And I have another clip of Donald Trump after he voted today, but that is what makes him so dangerous. And I said that I would prove he is a threat to democracy. That is enough proof right there. Donald Trump in one breath will undermine mail-in voting and early voting, undermine our institutions, while in the next breath or in the next minute taking advantage of those very same procedures so that he can vote in elections. It is all for show. It is all virtue signaling. Donald Trump simply exists to undermine all of our institutions, tear down trust so that people only believe in him. But listen to this clip of Donald Trump and tell me if you think there is a level of sadness in his voice that you have not heard in a while. He sounds very down. He sounds like a man who just found out that he is slipping in the polling, because he is. Make sure you leave a like on the video and let's watch this clip.
Great honor to vote. They've done a fantastic job here, and we appreciate it. We think we're doing very well. We just had a poll that shows we're doing very well, and we have an interesting couple of months ahead of us.
Rather than cherry picking one polls, let's look at the 538 aggregate of polls over the past few weeks since VP Harris has ran. First, let's look at all of these polls right here. As you guys can see, with every single poll that's come out, VP Harris is +5 over on the right, +2, +3, +3, +4, +3. Trump is +2, which is not ideal, but this is an amazing, amazing increase. Also, that's from the dailymail.com. Harris +1. All of the high quality ones, like the Morning Consult ones, show Harris +3. Let's look at the actual model, which aggregates all of the polling. It accounts for each poll's recency, the sample size, methodology. Even if you guys don't agree with the polling or don't believe that it's predictive, when we're about 80 days away, a model like this is all we have. And I do want to highlight, no matter what any model or poll says, all that matters is that we vote on election day. We show up, we make sure our friends and family have mobilized, have registered. That is all that matters, is that we vote on November November 5th, if we all do that, say this video gets 150,000 views and every single person who watches this video votes and votes with their sibling or significant other, that's 300,000 more votes that are blue, hopefully. And this 538 poll, VP Harris is up by 2.7 points, and that is a nice margin considering the fact that a few weeks ago, she was only up by 0.4, then 0.2, then you can see it slowly grow as she campaigns and funnels more money into ads. And Donald Trump's best surrogate, who was his VP pick, is currently giving speeches and not making any sense. Here's JD Vance speaking right now at the Byron Center in Michigan and just lying about the price of cars.
Thanks to Kamala Harris' spending policies, the average new car costs nearly $50,000 a year.
If he is spending $50K a year on his car payments in totality, he got ripped off by the dealership. That is not how much a car should cost for anyone. But going back to Donald Trump's straight up hypocrisy, there are a few different cases. Let's go to the old one first. First reported by the Palm Beach Post, Trump requested his mail-in ballot for the town's municipal election on Friday, and this was a few years back. The Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections confirmed through its website that the former president cast his vote by mail. This marks the third time Trump has voted by mail in Palm Beach, and he has undermined it so many times. Trump repeatedly targeted mail-in voting and early voting, but we'll get to that again, in the aftermath of the 2020 election, claiming increased access due to the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated opportunities for fraud, though there is zero evidence suggesting this is true. Quote, if foreign countries want to, this is an easy system to break into because they'll do counterfeit ballots. They'll do counterfeit ballots by the millions, Trump said at a White House meeting. Now let's go back to today when Donald Trump voted in the Florida primaries. Trump has repeatedly questioned the reliability of mail-in ballots and early voting dating back to the 2020 election when he was defeated by President Biden. Trump has falsely claimed the election was fraudulent and rigged against him despite numerous recounts and audits that have reaffirmed the results. And notice that when Donald Trump attacks mail-in ballots or early voting, he's never giving a solution. How do we fix these things? How do we move forward? It's always, let's just completely axe it or remove it. Let's get rid of it. There's never a step-by-step guide. How do we do this? How do we fix it via a blueprint? No, Donald Trump wants to tear it all down because he can't actually identify the problems. He's just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Quote, I will secure our elections. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter ID, Trump said at a recent campaign rally in Atlanta, Georgia, a message he often repeats during such events and that he's repeated for multiple years. Democrats traditionally vote more by mail through early voting, while Republican voters tend to vote in greater numbers on election day. The RNC and GOP officials for years have sought to get their supporters to embrace early voting through bank the vote programs and other outreach efforts. Again, I want to reiterate, it is our civil duty to vote in this upcoming election. It is our civil duty to make sure our friends and family are registered in one of the most high-stakes elections in American history. I'll leave a link in the description to vote.org. Have a great day. Like this video, comment a blue heart, hit subscribe, and peace out.